Good evening, everybody, and welcome to what could be a unique event. This is the Old Cross Tavern pub quiz being broadcast live over the internet as opposed to for various obvious reasons. Thank you all for tuning in, and let's hope you enjoy a little bit of fun and a little bit of a laugh, nothing too serious, and obviously no prizes whatsoever at the end of it for anybody. Okay. Like I say, thank you for taking the time to join in. I'd like to just say on behalf of all the staff and Mary, and I'm sure Bev as well, that we're grateful for your support and your continual love that you show for the pub. And we will hopefully, not too far in the future, be reopening again. Everyone will stay healthy and we can get back to doing what we love best, which is serving some great beer to some lovely people. Okay. When we decided to do the quiz in this format, we did our normal stuff of putting a post on Facebook and a little bit on Twitter. But obviously we couldn't advertise in the pub because there's nobody in there at the moment. So I sent a couple of emails out to various rich and famous people just to see if I could get them to have a quick look in and, perhaps lend us their support. Unfortunately, only a couple of them got back. The first one was Britain's favourite landlord, Tim Martin, who told me to stop wasting my time and to get a job at Tesco's. And the second one came from another of our favourite entrepreneurs, Richard Branson, who actually turned it around and asked me to send him some money to help keep his airline going because apparently, a personal fortune of about 4 billion isn't enough these days, to live in comfort. So, if anybody wants to drop him a few quid in the post, then I'm sure he'll appreciate it. So anyway, before everybody decides to tune into the Queen, because I understand she's giving the nation a bit of a message at the moment, or indeed start watching some cat videos, I think we should move on with the quiz. The format for the quiz will be, I've got 6 rounds, 10 questions, 60 points available. Some are easy, some are really easy. There's a couple that have multiple choice. So, statistically, even a monkey could get one of those right. So, just relax and don't get too upset if you can't get anything right. Like I say, just relax, enjoy yourself, forget about what's going on outside, and just see if you can get more than 45, which is actually the score I got today, despite the fact that I set the questions. So there we go. If you want to send any comments while it's going on, you'll see the little comment box in the right hand side there. I'll repeat any of the questions if required, but at the end of the day, I can also email you the questions when we finish. If you just drop your email into the pub's email address, which is oldcrosstavern@gmail.com, we'll get a copy of the questions off to you so you can do these again in your own time, see if you can score any better second time around. Okay. So section 1 is on television. And here we go. Question number 1. In the TV comedy series Only Fools and Horses, what is the name of car dealer Boyce's wife? What is the name of car dealer Boyce's wife in Only Fools and Horses? Okay. I can hear a couple of people writing that one down, so that's good. They don't get any more difficult than this or any better, to be honest. So, just see how you do. Question 2. In which city in the United Kingdom is the detective series Lewis set? There we go. Centre of learning there. That's a little clue for our Canadian viewers, because I understand there's 1 or 2 of those on there at the moment. So good luck to them. It's not Hull, by the way. I know there's a university there, but it's not Hull. Okay. Question number 3. Which English actor starred in the following programmes during his very distinguished television career: When the Boat Comes In, The Buy the Peck Affair, Only When I Laugh, and New Tricks. And he's still going, getting on a bit, but he's still going. Okay. Question number 4. Who wrote the classic 80s television series The Singing Detective? That was a little bit controversial at the time, I seem to remember. Mrs. Whitehouse got a bit upset about that, so that's quite funny, but there we go. Question number 5. Which military captain's catchphrase was "stupid boy"? There we go. He probably could have been a pub landlord as well, to be perfectly honest. So there we go. If anybody needs a little bit more time, please just drop me a message and I'll slow the questions down a little bit. There we go. Question number 6. Which newsreader famously danced with Morecambe and Wise on their 1976 Christmas special? There we are. A few of the older members might remember that. Long before my time, obviously, but that's a story for another day. Question 7. George Cowley, played by the brilliant Gordon Jackson, headed which government organisation in The Professionals? That was Gordon Jackson, the man that gave himself away getting off the bus in The Great Escape, and if you remember that. Supposed to be speaking German, and he got outwitted by a normal German soldier. It's a terrible waste after all the effort to get that far, but there we go. Question number 8. Britain's favourite television duo, Ant and Dec. Which television programme on BBC's Children's Channel did they first appear together? Quite a long time ago. They look very young. I've just had a message from Mary saying, did you say it's okay to cheat? Well, obviously you can do if your fingers are fast enough to Google on your phone while we're doing this. Although, obviously, I will give the answers out at the end of each round. So, like I say, I didn't cheat today and I only got 45 out of 60. So, there you go. Question number 9 in this opening round. The final episode of television cop show The Bill was broadcast in August 2010. But which year did it first start? It was quite long running. I'll give you a little bit of a clue. But you'd have to know me to know this. I'm anybody, to be perfectly honest, but there we are. And the final question in this first section on television, number 10. Lenny Henry and Tracy Ullman made up 2/3 of the comedy team Three of a Kind. But who was the third member? And a little clue there, he shares his name with a very famous magician and a book as well by one of our greatest authors. Thought he could have come up with something more original when he gave himself a stage name, but there we go. You know, that's how it is, I suppose. Okay, so just give you a moment or two just to complete the old scribing on that before we run through the answers. Okay. I guess the Queen's finished by now, so we might have a few more joining in. Okay, so the answers to one. The name of Boyce's wife in Only Fools and Horses is Marlene. Everybody remembers Marlene, apparently, so there we are. The city in which Lewis is set, that was a spin-off from Morse, of course, which everybody knows was set in Oxford. The second best team in the boat race, as far as I'm concerned. Talking of boats, the actor that starred in When the Boats Come In, By the Beck Affair, Only When I Laugh, and New Tricks is, of course, the wonderful James Bolam. Question 4, who wrote the classic series The Singing Detective? That was the very controversial Dennis Potter. Regularly upset Mary Whitehouse, so we quite like him. Question 5, which military captain had the catchphrase "stupid boy"? That was the brilliant Captain Mainwaring, of course, played by the wonderful Arthur Lowe. Brilliant person. The newsreader that danced with Morecambe and Wise in 1976. She's still on television now. In fact, that's Angela Rippon. I'm not sure if her dancing days are behind her now, because she's obviously moving on in the years. But that was a very, very fabulous and fantastic piece of TV. If you get a chance to see it on YouTube, if you've never seen it, it is very, very funny, very good. George Cowley, he ran CI5 in the professionals, one of the non-PC programs from the 70s that we all secretly still like to watch now. Question 8, Anton Deck first appeared on British television on the BBC children's television show Biker Grove. Yes, and so it's their fault that we've got those two. There you go. The final episode of The Bill, which was first broadcast in 2010, was first broadcast. Oh, I got that completely wrong. Was last broadcast in 2010, I should say. Was first broadcast in 1983. There we go. We'll have to edit that bit out at the end, obviously. That's the problem with doing stuff live, isn't it? There we are. And finally, the third member of the Three of a Kind comedy team with Lenny Henry and Tracy Ullman was David Copperfield. So give yourself a round of applause there. If you got any more than 9 out of 10, you've done really well, because I don't think they were particularly difficult, but obviously when I was setting these, I have to think of the sort of people that will be watching this. So, I didn't want to make it too highbrow. But there we go. Okay, moving swiftly on to round 2. This one's all about music, which is something we've ended up listening to quite a lot of recently, being as there's not much to do during the day, but there we are. Question number 1, which kind of Monday did New Order have in 1983? Which kind of Monday did New Order have in 1983? Question number 2. In 1965, what nationality were Al Martino's eyes, according to the song? So there we are. That's one for the older viewers. Question number 3. Which Irish boy band was made up of the following members? Keith Duffy, Stephen Gately, Mikey Graham, Ronan Keating, and Shane Lynch. Very talented bunch of lads. Did very well for themselves, to be perfectly honest. Question number 4. Glam rock group's only #1 hit in the UK was the 1973 smash Blockbuster. Okay. Definitely before my time, that one, but I think they've used it in a few adverts and stuff like that, so people might know that from there. Question number 5. Which Beatles album contains a track dedicated to Lovely Rita, the Meter Maid? You've probably heard of it. It's probably only the most famous album ever made, so there's a chance that if you don't get any other question right in this whole section, you'll probably get that one, I would guess. Having said that, the next one's not too bad either. Number 6, Elvis Presley sang about which kind of hotel in 1956? I certainly don't remember that. I had to ask my dad about that one. But it was very popular at the time, apparently. So there we are. Here's one of the multiple choice ones that, like I said, a trained monkey has a 1 in 3 chance of getting right. So here we go. Who has sold the most albums worldwide? And you have a choice. It's either Lionel Richie, Dolly Parton, or Prince. Sadly, no longer with us. So who has sold the most albums worldwide? Lionel Richie, Dolly Parton, or Prince? Question number 8. Which British band had hits in the 1980s with the following singles: Shout, Pale Shelter, and Everybody Wants to Rule the World? Very good they were as well, in my opinion, at the time. I think they might actually still be doing something together, but you don't hear much of them now anyway, so there we are. Here's one for the younger viewers. Question 9, which Scottish singer-songwriter had the biggest selling album in the UK of 2019? And I'm quite happy to admit I didn't know this. I had to look this up. And in fact, I've never heard of him. So there you go. That probably tells you something as well. I'm not exactly in touch with, not exactly down with the kids, as it were. So there we go. And the final question in this section, Bobby Hatfield was the one member of the US singing duo, the Righteous Brothers. Who was the other one? Now, this I did know, but only because he had a hit in the 80s, a duet with I think it was one of those one-hit wonders with another singer. But again, I had to check it as well. Okay. So that's the 10 questions for section 2 on music. I can run through the answers now. I can find my page. There we go. What kind of Monday did New Order have in 1983? That was Blue, a Blue Monday, which it was. I don't know if it still is, but it was the biggest selling 12-inch single of all time. Really fabulous tune. Al Martino's Eyes in 1965 was Spanish Eyes. They'd probably be watering at the moment with everything that's going on, but there we are. Question 3, the Irish boy band made up of those 5 talented young men, that was Boyzone. May well have heard of those. The glam rock group who had a #1 hit in 73 with Blockbuster was Sweet. Wonder what they're up to now. Probably not much. Sitting at home, I expect. The Beatles album with the track dedicated to lovely Rita the Meter Maid was, of course, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Like I say, probably the most famous album ever made in musical history. If you didn't get that, you may as well just go now. Just leave. If you don't know that, you might as well just pack up. Question number 6, Elvis sang about Heartbreak Hotel in 1956. That was, like I say, quite famous at the time and subsequently as well. A lot of people would have heard of that. The multi-choice answer, it's actually 160 million albums. Dolly Parton, more albums than Lionel Richie and Prince. There's a lot of country music fans out there. Lots of them. Very, very popular. The British band that had hits in the 80s with Shout, Pale Shelter, and Everybody Wants to Rule the World was, of course, Tears for Fears. Like I say, very good, very talented pair of musicians there. Good songs, great stuff. The name of the Scottish singer-songwriter who had the biggest selling album of 2019, that's Lewis Capaldi. Yeah. I didn't know that. I had to look that up. I'd never really heard of him. So good luck to Lewis. Well done. And well done to anybody who got that. I'd imagine you'd probably have to be under 25 to know that. I wouldn't, obviously that well rules me out. I wouldn't have a clue. And Bobby Hatfield was a member of the Righteous Brothers. Who was the other one? That was Bill Medley. Like I say, he had a hit in the 80s with a singer called Jennifer Warnes. I do remember that, but I wouldn't have known till I looked it up that he was the other Righteous brother. So there we are. So if anybody has scored 20 out of 20 so far, I think they're probably doing quite well, especially if they're one of the people in Canada, because I'd imagine that a couple of those questions would not, some of this music would not have reached Canada, so well done to them, anyone who has. Round 3 is certainly not one for the Canadians either. This one's called Hertfordshire, etc. So, this was when I was really scraping around to try and find another category. I just thought, well, some of the people who come in the pub might know something about the area where they live. It's not for certain, but they might have some idea. So let's start on those ones. So let's have one that's kind of related a little bit to the pub. The headquarters of which real ale campaign group that was formed in 1971 is based in St Albans, and I will accept either the acronym or the full title on this. I'm not gonna squeeze it down to just the acronym or the full. I will accept both. I'm quite happy to accept both. Okay. If you're writing the acronym now, and you should have done it by now, so I can confidently move on to the next one. Okay. What is the name of the retail outlet that sits above the A1 in Hatfield? These days, it's just full of shops that just want to get rid of a load of old rubbish, basically. It used to be quite a nice place when it first opened, but it's just full up of all the stuff they can't sell in their normal shops now. So making out it's quite cheap, but there we go. Question number 3. The current England football team manager, Gareth Southgate, was born in Hertfordshire, but in which town? Does he look like a were person? I don't know. What does a were person look like? I'm not really sure. Now, another multi-choice one now, and I will be able to give you the correct answer at the end of this with a bit of luck. Which town has the larger population? Is it Stevenage or is it Hemel Hempstead? And it's quite close, but there is a little bit of a difference. This is according to the 2011 census. So it is slightly out of date. If you were to go around tonight and count everybody individually, it might not be exactly the same. But, I can only go by the latest information that's available. So we'll base it on that. Okay. Question 5. 2 members of the Spice Girls hail from Hertfordshire. Now, there's something to be proud of, eh? But which one of them had 3 #1 singles from her debut solo album, which was called Schizophonic? Now, there's a title. Schizophonic. Yeah, I think I have pronounced that correctly. So that's something to think about. Something for those who drive around a bit more often. What is the name of the services at the junction of the A1 and the M25? What a wonderful, wonderful place that is. Marvellous. Great atmosphere. Okay, something slightly different. In which decade did Broxbourne Zoo, which is now known as Paradise Park, first open to the public? Which decade did Broxbourne Zoo first open to the public? It's now Paradise Park. So, there we are. Question number 8. Rag and Bone Man, who I have heard of, headlined which Hertfordshire musical festival in July 2019? That's, I suppose, one for the slightly younger people as well, but some of the older ones might know that. Rag and Bone Man, he's good as well. I like him. Headlined which Hertfordshire music festival in July 2019? Okay. Question 9. At which Hertfordshire TV studios has the BBC soap opera EastEnders been filmed since it started in 1985? Can you believe that stuff has been on TV for so long? How is it still going? Who watches it? That's what I want to know. Well, me, I do, but there we are. I should say, who else watches it? And question 10, another one of the multiple choice ones. How big is Hertfordshire approximately in square miles? And you have a choice. It's either 634, 734, or 834. There we are. 634, 734, or 834. I don't know how they work this out. I guess they use some kind of satellite, technology or something or whatever. So, really not sure. It's a very interesting job for somebody, obviously, but there we go. So anyway, answers to round 3. The headquarters of which Real Ale campaign group, formed in 1971, is based at St Albans. It is, of course, CAMRA, or the Campaign for Real Ale. Fine bunch of lads, do a good job, and have done over the years. Question 2, the name of the retail outlet that sits above the A1 in Hatfield is called the Galleria. Like I say, sounds a lot grounder than what it actually is. Question 3, our current England football manager, Gareth Southgate, Hertfordshire lad, born and bred. Watford, if you can count that as Hertfordshire. A lot of people think it's London, but it is technically Hertfordshire. So he was born in Watford. The town with the larger population, Stevenage or Hemel Hempstead. Well, it's approximately 94,000 in Hemel Hempstead compared to approximately 89,000 in Stevenage. There was a footnote at the bottom that said, though, these figures do not include the people who would not admit to living in Stevenage. So, I don't know how many that is, but officially it's 94,000 against 89,000. So Hemel Hempstead has the officially the bigger population. The Spice Girl that had the debut album Schizophonic with the 3 hit singles was Geri Halliwell. I think she must be 70 now. I mean, she lied about her age in the 90s, so she's doing quite well. She's probably got a bus pass. Can't use it at the moment, but there you go. The name of the services at the junction of the A1 and M25 is South Mims. Like I say, a handy stop for the traveller when he gets to that point. The decade in which Broxbourne Zoo opened, now known as Paradise Park, of course, was the 1960s, which must have been good, for that. Rag and Bone Man headlined a music festival in July 2019. That's Stand and Call-In, which is very, very popular, of course. At which Hertfordshire TV studio has EastEnders been filmed since 1985? That is, of course, Elstree. Again, so far away from us, it's hardly Hertfordshire, really, but apparently it does count as Hertfordshire. And how big is Hertfordshire in square miles? It's 634 approximately. So the lowest of the 3 options. So again, if you got all 10 of those, you I was going to say need to get out more, but obviously you can't at the moment. So you need to spend more time sitting in your garden or walking around the block or something. Okay, so well done there. So we're halfway through now. And just very briefly before we go on to round 4, I just wanted to say that normally if we do a quiz in the pub, or the couple of occasions we have, obviously people have paid an entrance fee and bought raffle tickets, and perhaps had a drink or two while they've been in there, and obviously we're not doing that this time for the obvious reasons. This is just for a little bit of fun, to help pass the time. We do appreciate that people can be concerned about what's going to happen with their jobs and their businesses and all this other stuff. But I would just like to say that if you can make a small donation to the pub's charity, the Breast Cancer Now, it is possible just to go onto their website, even if it's the couple of pound that you would have spent on raffle tickets. I'm sure that they would appreciate, and they do appreciate, everything that comes their way. It's going to be a tough time for charities and everything as well. So, if you can find a couple of pounds for them, that would have made this exercise worthwhile, as far as I'm concerned, on top of everything else. So, thank you if you do. Okay. On to round 4. This is regarding the subject of film and cinema. So, question 1. Who directed the 1960s classic thriller Psycho? With the old shower scene, probably one of the most famous scenes in cinematic history. Good old Norman Bates, dressed up as his mother, killed a few women. You know, average kind of Saturday night out, I suppose, for him, but there we go. Question number 2. Which composer, with 52, holds the record for the most number of Oscar nominations for a living person? Now, this bloke has worked on some films. I'm telling you, he's done them all. He's done them all. You know, he's about 88 now, but he's still going. You know, no end to the man's talents. Absolutely no end. Just excuse me a minute. Just go have a drink. Just go check something because I think. Oh, just realised I needed to plug that in there because the battery is getting a little bit low on the laptop, and the last thing I would have wanted is to conk out halfway through. That really wouldn't have been very good at all. Especially if everyone was waiting for that last answer to see if they got 60, you know. Question number 3. Who played Han Solo in the Star Wars films? There's someone who's been around for a few years as well. Very good actor. Question number 4. Which sport featured in the 1989 Kevin Costner film Field of Dreams? Yeah, you build it and they will come, apparently. That's what... that was the main thing you got from that. So there we go. Question number 5. Which 2 pop star brothers played Ronnie and Reggie in the 1990 film called The Krays, based on the life of the Krays? And plenty of women of a certain age will get that one right. But there we go. Oh. Question number 6. What was life like according to Forrest Gump? What was life like according to Forrest Gump? Another hopefully famous quote. So there we go. Question number 7. Which character did Michael Douglas play in the 1987 film Wall Street? Greed is good. That was his slogan in that. He would have been doing quite well at the moment, probably, I would have thought. You know, could have made a few bob, I'm sure, doing something or other. There we are. Let's go over. Question number 8. Which English-born Chinese actor played Kato, the erstwhile manservant to Peter Sellers' Inspector Clouseau? And he actually ended up in Last of the Summer Wine. So that's, you know, really a major come down. I think he was probably about 80 at the time, but, you know, from being in the Pink Panther films to ending up in Last of the Summer Wine. But, you know, it's just give up, you know, just don't do it. Question 9. Which 1993 film gave Steven Spielberg his first Oscar as Best Director? Little clue, most of it was in black and white. Nearly all of it was in black and white, in fact. One of the best films ever made, without any shadow of a doubt. But don't watch it if you want cheering up. Like, this is probably not the best time to watch it, in my opinion. Yeah, watch something a bit more uplifting. Bedazzled. There we are. Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, Passenger 57, and Bedazzled. She's not ever likely to trouble the Oscar committee, to be perfectly honest. But, you know, it is what it is. She's made a career out of it. There we go. So, answers to the film section. Who directed Psycho, the 60s classic? That was Alfred Hitchcock, one of the most famous directors of all time. The name of the composer, who has 52 Oscar nominations, which is just absolutely unbelievable, is John Williams. So if you had no idea about that and you just guessed a couple of sort of common names, there is a chance you might have got that right. So well done if that's how you got there. Harrison Ford, of course, played Han Solo in the Star Wars films. Good performance from him. Kevin Costner's Field of Dreams in 1989 was based around baseball. Maybe one of the Canadians might have got that. I know they're more interested in sort of things that happen when it's really cold. But they do a bit of that baseball in North America. So hopefully our Canadian viewers got that one. Well done. The pop star brothers who played Ronnie and Reggie in The Krays were Gary and Martin Kemp from Spandau Ballet. They did quite a good job of it, to be fair. Not a bad film. That was quite good. Life was like a box of chocolates, according to Forrest Gump. I've got no idea what he was going on about, but that was a really a famous quote from him. So he kind of built a career on that quote, to be perfectly honest. But he never did another film after that, from what I remember. I think that was his only one. The character played by Michael Douglas in Wall Street was Gordon Gekko. In his red braces and his slick back hair. Good performance, good film, summed up the period of time excellently. So a lot of people remember that. The English-born Chinese actor that played Kato and ended up eventually in Last of the Summer Wine was Burt Kwok. I think he was great in Kato. I love the Pink Panther films anyway, but it was a real come down to see him ending up finishing his career in Last of the Summer Wine. I'm very disappointed about it, to be honest, but there we are. Schindler's List, answer number 9, the film that gave Steven Spielberg his first director's Oscar. I honestly would have thought he'd had one before that, but no, he didn't. But what a movie that is. Like I say, don't watch it at the moment because we all need a bit of cheering up and a bit of whatever. Put that on the back burner. If you haven't seen it, watch it when things get back to normal. And like I say, don't watch it now. And the English actress that was in Passenger 57, Austin Powers, and Bedazzled was Liz Hurley. Like I say, never likely to trouble the Oscar people, but she is what she is, really, But there we go. Okay, so that's the end of round 4. Just have a nice sip of water. Notice the Timothy Taylor's glass here. So there is some link to the pub anyway. There we are. Just goes to show what you can steal from work when the boss isn't looking, doesn't it? So there we go. Question 5. Round 5 is on sport. 10 questions, 10 different sports covered. So there's something for everybody in this. Question number 1 is cricket. Very good for the Canadians, this, I would imagine. Massive in Canada, cricket, I would have thought. Who currently holds the record for the most wickets in Test cricket? And if anyone wants a clue, because this is only for a bit of fun, he's Sri Lankan, okay? And his name is literally impossible to spell. But there we go. That's a little bit of a clue for you. It's basically not Shane Warne, okay? Because most people would probably think it's him. Question 2. In which year did James Hunt win the Formula One World Championship? James Hunt, eh? What a character. That was motor racing, by the way. Sorry, I should have said that at the start. Question 2 was motor racing. Which year did James Hunt win the World Formula One Championship? Question 3. This is athletics. How many gold medals did Great Britain win at the London 2012 Olympics? So that is covering covering athletics, swimming, everything altogether. In the final medal table, how many golds did we get at that wonderful event that took place? It seems a lifetime ago. It's not even 8 years. Lots of water gone under the bridge since then. But how many gold medals did we win altogether? No, there's a question just come through. Do you have any ice hockey questions? I'm afraid minority sports not played in this country are not going to get any questions. Right. For question 4, I need to put this. I bought a prop for question 4. Okay, so this might give you a clue to the answer, because this one is football. Okay. In 1963, who became the first British football club to win a European trophy when they beat Atletico Madrid 5-1 in the final of the Cup Winners' Cup? Now, you can think about this for a little while. Think about it for a little while there. There's another clue on that one. That was 2 years before West Ham won the same trophy, and 4 years before Celtic became the first British club to win the European Cup. So, 5 years before Manchester United won anything in Europe as well. So there we go. Take that one off now. Question 5. This is darts this time. How many times has Phil Taylor won the World Darts Championship? It's quite a lot as well. That is a sport, by the way, as well. I kind of think it's a game, but apparently they show it on Sky Sports. So that means it's a sport. Apparently, that's the dictionary definition now of what is a sport. Have they got it on Sky? It's a sport. Okay, so how many times has Phil Taylor won the World Darts Championship? Question number 6, golf this time. Which English golfer has won 85 tournaments worldwide, which includes 4 majors, finished top of the European Order of Merit 7 times, was the first ever in history to win tournaments on 5 different continents in the same calendar year, and was indicted into the Golf Hall of Fame in 2015? I'm going to repeat that because it's the longest question on the whole quiz. Which English golfer has won 85 tournaments in total, including 4 majors, finished top of the European Order of Merit 7 times, and was the first ever in history to win tournaments on 5 different continents in the same calendar year, and was indicted into the Golf Hall of Fame in 2015? English golfer. Question number 7. Bradley Wiggins was the first Brit to win the Tour de France in 2012. This is cycling, obviously. But how many Brits have won it since? You don't have to say who they are. You can just wildly guess. There's only been 7 years since then it's taken place. So even if 7 different people won it and they were all British, the answer would be 7. So the answer is going to be between 0 and 7. Okay, so I'm just trying to make that a little bit easier for you. Okay. Question 8 is tennis. Which US legend took on and beat Bobby Riggs in the 1973 Battle of the Sexes tennis match? Yeah, you weren't expecting that, were you? You're going to say how many times has Roger Federer won Wimbledon or something, but no. Which US legend took on and beat Bobby Riggs in the 1973 Battle of the Sexes tennis match? Number 9 is rugby union. That strange game. Who is Welsh Rugby Union's record try scorer? And he's got 58, which is, seems to me quite a lot, really. I don't know, do they have goal hangers in rugby? And did he just hang around and pick the ball up and put it over the line or something? I don't know. But 58 tries, well done. And question 10 is snooker. This is a sport as well, by the way. Again, it's on Sky Sports, so it has to be a sport. Unfortunately for Jimmy White, he's never been the world snooker champion. But how many times has he lost in the final? How many times has he been the runner-up? And he's still playing, so it could, in theory, happen again. There we are. Poor old Jimmy. Probably the best player never to win the world championship, if you know your snooker. But how many times has he been the beaten finalist? So the answers to our penultimate round of sport. Who currently holds the record for the most test wickets? It's Matai Muralitharan, the Sri Lankan spin bowler, and he basically played until he got to 800, and then after his the 800th wicket, he literally just walked off. He said, "Oh, I'm just not doing it anymore. I've had enough. My arm's aching. It's just getting boring." He said, "I've just had enough," and just left. And that was his last ever game. He's never played cricket since. Apparently, he's running a pub now. But there we go. The year that James Hunt won the World Formula One Championship was 1976. 1976. So I can just about remember that. Obviously not as successful as Lewis Hamilton, but a right character. Again, you get a chance to have a look at his life's history. It's just something else. Question 3, how many gold medals did Great Britain win at London 2012 overall in each of the disciplines in the medals table? We got 29, which for a country of our size, I think is just marvellous. Answer number 4, surprisingly, it's Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. There can't be anybody that didn't get that one right. Answer number 5, how many times has Phil Taylor won the Darts World Championship? It's actually 16. I mean, that is just unbelievable. 16. God almighty. There we are. Question 6, the English golfer who's won all the tournaments and the 4 majors and top of the Order Merit 7 times and indicted into Hall of Fame, blah. This is probably the only question out of the whole 60 that could even be described as slightly trick, in as much as it's Laura Davis, probably the finest female golfer, certainly that we've ever had from Britain, and one of the greatest in the history of female golf since it started. So you'd probably need a little bit of lateral thinking to have got that right, but there you go. Question 7, Bradley Wiggins, first Brit to win the Tour de France in 2012. How many Brits have won it since? The answer is 2, but I would call it 1.5. It's Geraint Williams, who's obviously Welsh, and Chris Froome, who is, I believe, Kenyan, but we kind of claimed him as being British. He regards himself as British, and we're still in a position where we have to just take anybody we can get in sport. Like I say, we're only a small country, and if we can get these people to represent us, that's all for the better as far as I'm concerned. Question 8, which US legend took on and beat Bobby Riggs in the Battle of the Sexes in '73? That was, of course, the wonderful Billie Jean King, a real trailblazer for women's tennis and women's sport and women's rights and everything in general. A bona fide legend, basically. You're not going to, like I say, you're not going to get any better than that. Welsh Rugby Union's record try scorer is a guy called Shane Williams. I'm just checking. I thought for a minute that was one of the blokes in Boyzone, but no, it's not. Shane Williams, Welsh Rugby. I guess he's a bit of a legend in Welsh Rugby. 58 tries. Like I say, he must have been quite good. Don't know the first thing about the sport myself, so he's Welsh. He's called Williams. Probably not the only one called Williams ever played for rugby for Wales, but there we are. And sadly for poor old Jimmy White, he's been 6 times runner-up in the World Championship. It's an absolutely tragic story. He's been very close. He's been absolutely thrashed. he's had a hair transplant. He's done everything he can do to possibly like win that championship, and it's still not happened for him, and it's probably never going to happen now. It's one of the saddest things in British sport, really, that he never done it. Fabulously talented snooker player, but you know, for some people, it just never works out, does it? Never works out. Okay, well, sadly, or as some people might think, thank God, we're on to the last round 6, which is general knowledge. These questions have been plucked from, you know, the back of my mind, and some quite quickly, some not so quickly. They may not even really count as general knowledge, to be perfectly honest. But here we go. Question number 1. In what year was the Times newspaper first published? It's a long time ago. I think there's only 2 people that come in the Old Cross that would have remembered the day it first came out. I'm not going to name them, but they know they are. Okay, so but it is quite a long time ago. Only 2 of our, I can only think of 2 of our regulars that may well have, you know, gone down the paper shop and bought one that morning. It's that long ago. What is the name? Question 2. What is the name of the highest peak in the mountain range known as the Dolomites? The Dolomites, of course, named after the 70s Triumph car, of which I used to have one of those. One of the hubcaps fell off it once when I was going around a corner, but that's another story entirely. Talking of cars, question 3. Which British manufacturer made the car which was named the first European Car of the Year in 1964? Yeah, they started the European Car of the Year. All the journalists, you know, got together and said, we'll give an award out. It's a chance for a good meal and a booze up, and, you know, a trip to Switzerland or something. And they still do it now. But the first winner was the British car. Which manufacturer was it? It was 1964. Which company? Number 4, slightly more up to date than that, although still a long time ago. Who shot and killed John Lennon in New York in 1980? I think he's actually just been released. Not that long ago. They let him out. You know, he's probably slightly worrying times for Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. You know, because I'm guessing he probably just didn't like the Beatles very much. But there we go. So who shot and killed John Lennon in New York in 1980? Outside the Dakota building. I've been there and seen the plaque on the floor where it all happened. Question number 5. Which English painter painted the Hay Wain in 1821? And that's quite highbrow. Wonder, you know, we've got many art fans that come in the pub. I'm not really sure. There's Will, obviously, although he's more into the modern stuff, I would imagine, rather than the Hay Wain. But it's a lovely picture. Strangely enough, of a Hay Wain. 1821. You know, it's like 180 years ago or something. You know, is that right? No, it's 200 years ago, isn't it? Bloody hell. Question number 6. What town is the county town of Wiltshire? There we go. That one came out of nowhere, I can tell you. Which town is the county town of Wiltshire? Okay. Question number 7. Again, this will be one for some of the older members who might remember this. What year was the 70 mile an hour speed limit introduced on Britain's motorways? And we've still got it. 70 miles an hour. What year was the 70 mile an hour speed limit introduced on Britain's motorways? Okay. Question number 8. More geographically based, this one. The Margaret River wine region is in which country? The Margaret River wine region is in which country? And funny enough, I've been there as well. So, you know. There we go. Question number 9, something a little bit more close to home. What was the name of Henry VIII's fourth wife? What was the name of Henry VIII's fourth wife? That was question 59 over the whole thing. So there we are. And question number 10, we had to do one, or I had to do one that had some relation to the pub. So this one's a mathematical one, actually, and if you come in on a regular basis, you might be able to get this right. What number do you get if you add the number of hand pumps in the Old Cross to the number of keg taps in the Old Cross to the number of different white wines available in the Old Cross? That will give you a number. So it's the number of hand pumps added to the number of keg taps added to the number of white wines. What number do you get? Okay, so that's concludes round 6, and I'll quickly, or not so quickly, run through the answers. Up to an hour, I can't believe it, actually. Where does time go when you're enjoying yourself? So, in what year was the Times newspaper first published? That was 1785. I said there'd only be a couple of Old Cross regulars that would remember that, and I stick by that. Although if anybody thinks there's any more, let them tell me they were around. The name of the highest peak in the Dolomites is Marmalada. Marmalada. I don't know why it's called that, but maybe the top of it's orange or something. I'm not really sure, but there we go. The name of the manufacturer of the first European car of the year was Rover. Believe it or not, Rover, yeah. I think about that time they used to make good cars. Obviously, as things went on with British Leyland, they just produced rubbish. It's just rubbish, really. Which is a shame because they were a really famous car maker around about that time. Mark Chapman shot and killed John Lennon, question 4 in 1980, and I'm quite sure he's recently been released. He's done his time. Question 5, the name of the painter that painted the Hay Wain was John Constable, one of the most famous English painters, of all time. Lots of prints of his available around. There's a very nice picture if you like that sort of thing. Question 6, the county town of Wiltshire is Trowbridge. I would have guessed Swindon if that was me doing the quiz, but no, it's Trowbridge. Don't know if there's more people in Trowbridge than there is in Hemel Hempstead. I'd have to look it up, but there we go. The year the 70-mile-an-hour speed limit was introduced was 1965. I think we only had one motorway, and most people couldn't afford a car, so I don't know why. I think just a few people had AC Cobras or something, and they were doing like 120 mile an hour up there or something, and so they decided to bring 70 mile an hour in, but it was 1965. The Margaret River wine region, question 8, that's in Australia. It's lovely there. If you ever get a chance, I'd recommend going there. It's fantastic. Question 9, Henry VIII's fourth wife apparently was called Anne of Cleves. I don't know enough to know if she was one that got her bonds chopped off, or if she just died or just got divorced. I don't know. You'd have to check on that one, but she was wife number 4 apparently. And the answer to the last one, we have 8 hand pumps. We now have 6 keg taps, and we have 4 different white wines. So the total is 18. And there's a message from Mary to say that she got that one right, so that's good. So we know she's got at least one of these answers correct anyway, which is good. So that concludes on just about the hour the first and maybe the only ever Old Cross Tavern online pub quiz. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been on here. It's been emotional. like I say, I don't know how I can ever beat the peak of doing this now. The rest of my time will probably not be worthwhile. But I'm desperately looking forward to getting back to work, to seeing everybody. Please follow the guidelines out there. Stay indoors as much as possible. Keep your hands washed. Do everything they're telling you to do, because we want everybody back safely at the other end of this. And we love you all. And like I say, thanks for tuning in. And if you want a copy of the questions, or if you want to send them on to anybody else to bore them to tears with it, email the pub. It's oldcrosstavern@gmail.com, and I'll make sure that we get these all sent off within the next day or so. And I'll send a separate page with the answers and everything as well, if you want. There we go. Actually, we just had a couple of messages come through. There's one. There we go. A couple of thank yous. Leon Dotsway. Well done, Leon. Got 28. There's one actually just come through from Crikey. There's one come through from Kim Jong-un. Apparently, he scored 80 out of 60, which is a magnificent effort. Well done to Kim Jong. He's something else, isn't he? It just goes to show you how far and wide the internet stretches, doesn't it? It's even made to North Korea. 80 out of 60. That's a good effort. Brian, well done to Brian. Although you've spelled my name wrong, I'll let you off of that. There we go. Oh, and one from the White House as well. Donald Trump got 90. Oh well, so there we go. He's always got the best numbers, as the coronavirus has clearly shown us. So well done to Donald. He can get back to playing golf now and everything else. So thanks again to everybody for tuning in. See you again soon. Take care. Be safe. Hello to Canada. Same to you over there. Didn't mean to insult you too badly about the winter sports and everything, because obviously you're better at those than we are. There we go. So good night, everyone. Thanks very much, and see you again soon.